Good Tuesday morning, and welcome to Ice Age TV, the internal combustion engine age YouTube channel that talks about the cars and the trucks, SUVs, dogs, coffee, grass cutting time. Wow, cut the grass yesterday, late yesterday even. Man, thank goodness I have two mowers to cut the grass. Look at that pod. It's so funky in the morning how that thing goes all green. Welcome to my channel. Thanks for tuning in. Good morning there to everybody that watches me on a normal basis. Hope you're having a nice day. Beautiful up here. It's crazy. Once you live down there in Florida in the summer months, you come up north, now you know why you got all the snowbirds, because it's just night and day on the variation of the temperatures and the humidity. Down there in Florida, it's just 88 degrees all the damn time. Or 100, it's not really 100, but it's the, come on, let's go. Come on, Scout. Nope, don't do that. So you see, it's the humidity down there in Florida. It just drives you nuts. Up here, we get that nice change of cooler air, which is so cool. Anyway, goodness gracious. Am I going backwards? Have you ever walked backwards? I mean, sincerely, backwards. Have you ever driven backwards? I think there's somebody who's ridden a motorcycle backwards. How would you do that? Now, the Honda Goldwing, it has reverse. I think Harley can get reverse. I wonder where those stories are. Come on, Will. And there's Will. The dogs were just out 10 minutes ago. And now I got to do it 15 minutes. Whoa. You're a backward dog. Yeah. Have you ever tried to walk backwards? Have you ever ran backwards? That's excruciating. That's hard. Just even driving a car backwards. You see these stunt drivers and go backwards, and then they flip the car around, and the steering wheel goes right back. They say once you turn that steering wheel, and the car goes zooming around, just let go of the steering wheel because the car goes straight again. It's just the way the physics of the car is. I'm not so sure to do that in an electric steering car, though. Hey, Will! Willow! So, yeah, you think about that. So on the actual gear-driven steering wheel, when you do that reverse, drive and you turn the car around and go straight, would that work the same? Come on, Pops, let's go. Interesting, right? Yeah, conversation. It's called backwards. What is going on in this world? Everything's backwards. Really? Is that where everything's going? To me, I think we're going backwards. And, come on, puppies. I know my dogs right here are going backwards because they're not following me in the damn barn. So, let's just go. Come on! Come on, Scotty! Look at all the toys. Brought my golf clubs back. I haven't played golf in ages. Scotty! Oh my gosh. It just doesn't end. I haven't driven the Charger. Charger just collects dust all the time. There's the Bronco, Raptor. Harley's over there. All this stuff. Hey, Scout! So this is not good. I don't know what happened to him. Look at the mixture of bikes, right? Honda, Triumph. What am I saying? Honda, Indian. I had Triumphs. Come on. Here we go. Hey, Scout! Where the hell did he go? I have to turn the damn video off. Jesus Christ. The dogs. You're backwards. You're out for 15 minutes, you dumb dog. Jesus Christ. Drive you nuts, won't they? It's not easy having all these dogs. Get up the stairs. Oh my gosh. Need coffee. The dog's taken away from my video. Yeah, you. Yeah, turn the air conditioner on. I don't know. Just to get things a little cooler. It's a little warm up here in the office this morning. It kills the momentum, right? Anybody know these stories? But anyways, yeah, I mean, are we going backwards? I think that more than ever, we're going backwards. It's crazy. We're just living in crazy times. So we're like, how is that? Well, are you looking around at all the Looney Tunes? I mean, are we living in times of the more loonies than ever in our lifetime? Especially people sitting in office. I mean, I got to think of myself last night. I was reading about how I was talking about yesterday, the generative pre-trained transformer, the Chat GPT, artificial intelligence. This is serious stuff. With all these Hollywood people, all these writers and actors, and the list goes on and on and on. They're very, very concerned that their jobs are in jeopardy and that their incomes are in jeopardy. And so, screenwriters, production managers, the list goes on and on and on. There's the good and the bad. The good is this new artificial intelligence will help them make movies and other things better and help them maybe cut down their time making movies. But the worry, too, is that they're going to lose their jobs, or their jobs will require half or a third of the time to make things anymore, so they won't get compensated as well. And movie, screen, or actors are going to be created. I mean, what I got to thinking about was, this reminds me of 100 years ago, prior, I'm sure it was 100 years, early 1900s, when the cartoons were made. And how you can take I'm sure anybody here growing up in school, you took a piece of paper, a notepad, and you put a little bouncing ball, and you had it go from one point of a piece of paper to another point of a piece of paper, and if you flipped the paper fast enough, it looked like the ball was bounced up and down. Well, that's how cartoons were created. Mankind drew these characters, these cartoon characters, on pieces of paper, and then that's why it was so labor intensive. They had to take that same character over and over again from one point of raising its hand and moving its body. That's why it was so labor intensive. Well, the reason I'd say that is because if you look at artificial intelligence, the generative pre-trained transformer, well, the computers are now doing that to create me, to create you. So now, instead of the cartoon characters being made, real human being characters are being made through this artificial intelligence, and that's a concern for all these actors and producers, that that this artificial intelligence is going to replace them, which it is. It's already happening. So, but I think we're going backwards, and what I mean by that, so in that scenario there, I mean, we're going backwards because, 100 plus years ago, mankind was creating characters. Well, now the computers are creating characters. yeah, but who doesn't think that some of the characters are in Office are part of the Looney Tune cartoon package, right? Yeah, we won't get too deep into that, but I'm sure many people, and it can go both sides. I mean, so this isn't not just be one party versus other party. It's all the parties. If you get that conversation of the unique characters that we have sitting in power to be, right? Oh my gosh. And I got to think of myself yesterday, it's incredible that more than ever, I mean, it's been going on for centuries. The kings and the queens and, the Roman Empire. I mean, it's nothing new, but it's just incredible how the political figures in our modern times and even prior modern times, just the wealth that these people create through politics. And I know most people here are like, duh, we know. Yeah, if you ever took the big business out of being able to fund these politicians, yeah, I mean, there's the pluses and the minuses on that. I get that. But, I mean, come on. It's just so blatant that when you have political donors that can be big business, and what gets accomplished in the back end for these people that go from having nothing to having millions upon millions of political stature, and then their arrogance goes through the roof and their powers. So back to the backwards. So, yeah, I think we're going backwards in some aspects of what's getting ready to play out with all this artificial intelligence. And so on the car side, how could we be going backwards? Well, I mean, that's kind of, as far as cars go, if you kind of look at back in World War II, how the production of cars came to cease because of the war, well, as we know, the pandemic borderline created the same thing. And yet we're still somewhat, which I'm not believing it as much anymore, in this ongoing pandemic-related chip shortage and material shortage. And, I mean, how much longer can these automotive manufacturers and dealers continue to play the game that it's all pandemic related and it's all shortage related, and you're paying more than ever to get a car. Because if you go back to the 40s, these were the reality. You couldn't get a car. I mean, some people would know more about this than me that are older than me, but we're going backwards in the availability of what you want to buy. Meaning you're going back to, you have to wait or order a vehicle that you really want. In all reality, they're saying, a lot of dealers say that people don't really mind that, and I don't disagree, but at the same time, it's all about the pricing. That it's interesting that the internet that came along back in the 90s truly opened the door up to really force the car dealerships to be somewhat more transparent on their pricing, and to the most degree, people were more educated on getting a better price on a car. But yet today, more than ever, we've witnessed here in the last 3 years that the challenge of buying a car was not only having to suck it up, buttercup, pay the price, but be able to find the car you want. So in some ways, we've gone backwards to the 60s, the 70s, the 80s, automotive, even the 90s, business model where the dealerships really had a really good control on their pricing, because it wasn't easy to figure out what the price of the car was 100 miles from you because of the way you didn't have the internet capability. So in that aspect, I think we've gone backwards in time with the car purchasing. And then look at the housing infrastructure. We're going backwards because of the higher interest rates to buy a house. More than ever, I think just as time progresses, more than ever, it is going to start to show that people are just like, wow, I just can't afford this. And the housing market really is going to start to show more of the pain factor that the interest rates that the Fed has raised hasn't worked to cut housing prices down drastically. So, and I said this yesterday, if the Fed had the 6%, well, I should say if the banks are offering you 6.5, 6.75 rate on that home that was selling for $750 and now it's $600 or $550, then in some aspects I can say then the Fed's plan worked, and that makes sense. But we're not seeing that. We're not seeing, even with the car pricing. So everybody's having to pay more interest in cars. It's not working. So it's like it's a backwards mentality. We're dealing with politicians and we're dealing with people in power that have a total backward type of view of how to handle circumstances. Look at Jim Farley. Jim Farley's position was a year ago that he's going to take away inventory from all these Ford network of his dealerships. That the only way he can get a new truck or car, mostly truck and SUVs, Mustang's only a car. We'll talk more about the new Dark Horse. There was a good article about that this morning in the Motor Trend magazine. But the point is, Jim Farley, his position was, hey, we're going to control the pricing. We're going to go backwards. We're going to go back where the manufacturers and the car dealership infrastructure had such a, more control of what you can get and how much you're going to pay. I can still remember my dad and I going in Flemington, New Jersey, to the Flemington Chevy dealership to order a 1978 Chevy step-side half-ton K10 four-wheel drive truck Silverado package. I remember going with my father. I was so excited. January of 1978, and we picked out the burgundy color of it, and tan interior. We ordered air conditioning, and which it didn't come when it came in, and a few other things didn't show up. But here's the thing: we ordered it in January, and that thing didn't show up till June. So it was basically like 6 months. It was supposed to be built like within 3 months' time. Didn't happen. The price of the truck, if I remember right, my dad, paid the price of the truck. There really wasn't much any negotiation that I remember of. So it's, once again, here we are in today's times more than ever. What do you hear more than ever people say? It's like, you go to the car dealership and their position is they're just, be so lucky to be able to buy this. I'm sorry. It's production problems, and there's just not the availability for them, and this is the price. You got to pay this price, or you just okay. And then some sucker comes along and buys it, and then that's what keeps the rhetoric going. Who's the people paying ADM for all these cars? So on the housing sector, once again, I think that we've gone backwards. We've gone back to the 70s and 80s. I can assure you, anybody watch my channel, people are like, oh yeah, I mean, the incredibly high 10, 12% interest rates to buy a house. Very challenging to buy a home, very expensive. So what is being accomplished by these political figures and these people in power that are driving the economy into, you have to truly believe that they're just going to drive this economy downward. How is this economy going to continue to grow when everything is so expensive? I mean, food is expensive. Gasoline's getting expensive again. What's that all about? We're going backwards again. The barrel of oil is rising up again. The average price of now no lead fuel is like $3.75 a gallon, when it really should be $3 a gallon. Premium fuel's up to over $4 a gallon. In some areas, diesel fuel is back up into the fours, but it's down in the threes as well. And so it's like we're going backward to high energy prices that does anybody remember the 70s, the gas shortage, the Middle East, ball game of playing with us, of manipulating the market because they didn't like us? I mean, so it's the same thing happening today. OPEC and the other big oil producing countries are wanting to dominate the energy prices. And then the Ukraine and Russia, the Ukraine-Russia war, are we going backwards in that? We're getting ready to witness just a never-ending war between Russia and Ukraine that's having an impact on all the energy prices, the food prices. I mean, it's incredible. We live in an age of technology never seen before, the information age, but yet, for us, who doesn't feel shut down? I mean, have we witnessed in the social media on how you're supposed to have freedom of speech? We're now being told that the Biden administration deliberately instructed Twitter and Facebook and other social platforms to shut the hell up, that you can't let others speak what they feel is going on. I mean, is this stuff now being exposed more than ever? You're going backwards. It's like the propaganda machine to the max that we're living in. And most people be like, no way, this can't be the early 1900s of the propaganda machine of the World War II. I mean, in so many aspects, we've witnessed that here recently of the government controlling content. So, and have we advanced really past that? I mean, really, have we? Look at Elon Musk. This is classic. This guy is fixated on the X. And so now his big X statue he put on top of Twitter's former building, because now it's the X building. 24 residents of San Francisco filed a complaint against Twitter or X or Elon Musk, and he's now having to take down his big cross off the top of his building because he didn't follow the proper procedures of getting a permit to erect a new sign on top of that building. So as we speak, the big X in San Francisco on the building has been dismantled because Elon Musk didn't follow the proper steps and procedures. So he's going backwards. He's having to dismantle a sign. Is that maybe a sign of what's to come for him with his social media platform? That that taking down the sign is really he's gonna have to step backwards. Is the user base going to step backwards? Are the people going to be lured into the X platform? I mean, oh my gosh, I go on that platform, and all it is it's just depressing. It's constant argument between individuals of these powers to be, which just it befuddles me. You have people that take sides with these political people that are richer than rich, that at the end of the day don't give two rat's ass about who the hell you are, and people will fight tooth and nail and word and mouth off to each other over these political frickin' kings and queens. I mean, in so many ways, we live in today's country where these political powers to be are richer than ever, and they're arrogant as ever, and you get these people that fight tooth and nail to support these people's corrupt ways of the way they do business. Every politician, in some degree, is corrupt. I mean, every one of them is being paid off by somebody to advance an agenda. It's just which one gets caught with their pants down more than the other one. I mean, are you kidding me? It's just beyond unbelievable. But that's what drives these social platforms and be able to get paid to mouth off all day long and argue with you about this stuff. So it's like we're going backwards. We're going backwards in the information technology of helping one another to become better informed and more of us trying to be on the same page. But where it all goes to is we become more informed on how to become not on the same page. And even to the point this morning, it shows these videos of just people doing nasty things. And it shows people mouthing off about one race versus other race. There's this individual that's on there mouthing off about how his race needs to terminate another race. And it's just like, wow, what is driving this person to feel that because you're one color versus the other color, that you're the superior person and this other person needs to go away. And the reason I bring that up is because it's called living backwards, living in the past. What is California's whole agenda on this reparations? Yeah, Gavin Newsom is, I haven't really read much about it. It's kind of gone quiet in California because July this year, there was supposed to come to closure on the reparations in California. And so for me, it's backwards. We're living in the past. We have a huge movement more than ever of living in the past, going backwards for what so many feel was done wrong to other individuals, and now they want their day. They want to have their day where it's made right in their eyes. And how is it made right? Is it made right through physical violence? Is it made right through the money factor? I mean, what justifies a person that now wasn't even in that era of time, didn't even live, and they're sitting here and they're now getting all riled up because they hear of information from the past. So they're living backwards. They're wanting to go backwards. They're going backwards in time more than ever in our social society of wanting to divide us more than ever. I mean, wow. Oh my gosh, just the information. Look at Yellow Freight. It's been around for 99 years. It just about made its 100th anniversary. What happened to Yellow Freight? Did it go backwards? Did the Teamsters Union create the bankruptcy? I'm not here to call out union members. I'm just asking, was it the Teamsters? Was it the mismanagement of the monies they spent to try to grow the trucking infrastructure? Was it that the freight, what they thought the freight infrastructure was going to blow up and be huge, went backwards on them, meaning that the big, freight demand went backwards and went back to pre-pandemic, because we know during the pandemic, it was crazy after the pandemic was kind of coming, we were getting out of the pandemic and getting back to the routine, how the biggest word in the street was you couldn't find enough drivers and truckers to make deliveries. And that was a huge problem for deliveries. But now yet you're hearing how 30,000 Yellow Freight people are out of a job today. 20,000 of the 30,000 people are union employees, or union members, I should say. So for Yellow Freight, they went backwards. They didn't go forward. But at the same time, you think to yourself, this makes no sense. United Parcel Service, UPS, just last week I was telling you how they just raised the pay, minimum pay, and the pay rates to all of their employees, and even the part-time employees, on how they got a nice big raise, and how's that going to impact the freight business. UPS is going to probably raise the rates on all their freight, but yet here's Yellow Freight, they've gone out of business because they're spending too much on their overhead. Does this make any sense? I'm talking about going backwards. So is UPS setting themselves up for the same? I can't see it. UPS is just a whole different, ball game of the local deliveries versus over the road deliveries. More Yellow Freight's more over the road deliveries. So really two different kind of structured different companies. But at the same time, for Yellow Freight, they definitely went backwards because they lost. They now. I mean, is it over? Then you go to the brick and mortar. Are we going backwards? And what I mean by that is you go back 100 years ago, and was it the dominance of the ease of people getting food and clothing and things as easy as today. So, meaning that today, more than ever, people are ordering things online delivered to their house. People are staying home more than ever to run their life because they have remote working and you have availability to have things brought to your home. Well, in some ways, I guess you could say that we've gone backwards because you don't really need to drive to the store as much per se to get things that you need. And kind of back in the day, especially the farmers, and you go more than 100 years ago, people lived off their own land and they lived off the very small infrastructure of their local town. But the brick and mortar is falling apart, which everybody knew that was going to happen. I mean, who here didn't see the brick and mortar as time progresses fail? And not all of them are going to fail, but I would say a good portion are, just because of the infrastructure of the internet, deliveries, and everything else. So in that aspect, we've gone backwards to the way we we live, on how more than ever I think we're more homebodies now than ever before because of all this new technology. And and then here's the next thing. We're going backwards to a high stock market. Well, just kind of think this through. Stock market was like at 36. Did it get to 38? I think it got close to 38, I think. And then it went down to like 28, 29, but now it's back to close 36 in the last year. One of the most successful runs of the stock market. So it's going backwards. It isn't going backwards as far as it going down, but it's going back to what it was at a very high return on investments for people that got in the market. I talked about the other day. All these doomer gloomers probably convinced a lot of people to sell their stocks last year. For what? For what? You sold out to the guy that bought it cheap, and now the guy that bought it cheap's laughing all the way to the bank. Yeah, because you listen to these doomer gloomers all day long, because they always talk about what's going to happen tomorrow, which is always. Do you ever feel like you've already been here before? Who's ever had that situation? Have you ever just been somewhere or done something? You're like, man, I've been here. Like you've gone backwards in life, or have you gone forward in life and you come backwards? It's just like what's that movie, The Future, or whatever it was, Back to the Future. So. Isn't that contradictory? Back to the Future, think that's it, right? Yeah. All the ongoing conversations. Here's something that's really backwards. So in South Africa, the coal demand is so rampant, so radical. South Africa is having its biggest year ever of selling coal because of the Russia-Ukraine war ordeal. But think this through. Here we are in this country. And the energy policies are so backwards. I mean, they really are. If you really just stop and think about what is going on in this country, this bubble of these cartoon characters are running our country, which they are. I mean, it's beyond believable. I think artificial intelligence could probably run the country better than these individuals, sadly. But here's the thing. In Africa, they're selling coal and mining coal like never ever seen. Like never ever seen it. Wait a second. This country here is shutting down coal as fast as possible. China's building, people know these stories. I mean, so here we're in this country being penalized to, not live off of our own resources of energy. And in some ways going backwards, where you're going to be living like people did 100 years ago, freezing your tail off or sweating your tail off because of the IRA, the Inflation Reduction Act, aka New Green Deal, and yet over here in all these other countries, they're making a bloody fortune by continuing the growth of selling coal. That's polluting the world. That's going to wreak havoc to the world. But us in our own little domain here in America, we're all going to suffer and suck our thumbs, so that all the other countries, especially third world countries, don't abide by any of these CAFE standards or the New Green Deal agendas, and you'll be called out down the road if you're driving an ICE vehicle. You'll be called out if you're overweight. You'll be called. I mean, the list goes on and on and on and on. But yet in all these other countries, their lifestyles will be rampant, and will they abide? Will they play to the tune of this New Green Deal as the select few enrich themselves more than ever? And we're having to beg other countries now to give us materials for electric batteries. Yes. And then how many local towns are going to open up to massive mining in this country to extract the lithium, the uranium, whatever, all the different key ingredients to making all these batteries, the nickel, the cobalt. Where is it? Where is it? I don't even know it myself. I'm just not that deep into it. But we're going backwards. We're going backwards and that's another thing that should be really looked at, is we're going backwards on bringing all the jobs back and all the manufacturing back to this country. So, Bill Clinton was part of the NAFTA trade agreement back in like 1991, 92 that opened up the world trade to China, bringing all their crap to our country, for all the companies, sending all their business overseas for manufacturing. But yet now this new Inflation Reduction Act is going backwards, meaning it's enticing all these foreign companies and countries in so many aspects to bring their business here to our country to revamp up manufacturing like never seen before. And it's a slow rollout. There's certain companies that are starting to get these subsidies of money, but we're going backwards where this administration feels that this industrialization of governing powers of giving the money to reindustrialize this country in so many aspects, like China did, I've talked about in other videos, that's going to create huge infrastructure and global, local, domestic wealth like never seen before. But we're looking at a whole different type of economic infrastructure of people working versus not working. And what is the biggest challenge today? You hear more than ever. It's finding workers. It's finding good workers. So are we going backwards in that now we're going to build an infrastructure of trying to be the dominant, producer of electric batteries and electric cars and semiconductors and the solar panels? And will this infrastructure of this country's workforce have the discipline to make that happen? And the other thing is, this country isn't known for cheap labor. You can't do it. You go to jail as a executive of the company if you are paying people cheap labor and you abuse the child labor laws. But this is everything that goes on in these other countries that have enabled them to be a world market force of having products, competitive pricing. But yet we're going to bring that here, and that's going to work on the same level. I can't see it. I just can't see it. How I think it's going to be very, very expensive. It's going to be expensive beyond believable of where we're going. So we're going backwards. Are we going to the great crash of the 1900s? I mean, are we truly is this administration setting up the future, potential of just a huge crash of the economic infrastructure of what's being created, because everything is getting more expensive. What's getting cheaper? I'd love to hear somebody reach out and say, you know what? Everything in my town has gotten cheaper. Everything's less expensive. Fast food's less expensive. Gas less expensive. Housing's less expensive. Rent's less expensive. Labor's less expensive. Cars are less expensive. Hey, buddy, your YouTube channel, you're clueless. You have no clue what's going on in the real world in this country, that it's booming like never seen before. Everybody's got a job. Everybody's making a ton of money, and everything's beautiful. Okay, well, it's cool. I mean, from the media standpoint, that seems to be the message. All right, everybody, hey, I got to go back to work. So let me get back on my track here, and you do too. I hope everybody enjoyed my channel. Hope everybody has a great day. God bless, stay safe, and stay tuned for more adventures on Ice Age TV.